everybody. Welcome to another episode of Bill Has Opinions, where the opinions are made up and the points don't matter. I'm Laura Lavoie, and I'm joined, as always, by Bill Perkins, who is from space. Hi, Bill.
Yes, I am from space. How you doing?
I'm doing perfect.
Oh, it looks like you're doing perfect. What are you drinking tonight?
Well, so tonight's theme is vacations.
So you're drinking a drink.
I made myself a little tiki drink with a little umbrella. Wait, there we are. With a little umbrella.
Nice.
So that I could enjoy tropical delights while it is overcast and gross outside.
I am drinking Ginger the Llama by Asheville Brewing Company, which is it's a light, what is it, so wheat, like with a little hint of ginger.
Yes, an excellent choice.
It actually almost just tastes like ginger ale. It doesn't really, you don't taste the alcohol in at all. So,
which can be very dangerous because then you drink a lot of them
before you realize, and then you're like, oh, hey, I'm drunk. But yeah, anyway.
That's exactly how that works. So, hey everybody, this is our vacation episode because yesterday was, of course, Memorial Day. And
the official start of summer.
The official start of summer. And while we probably weren't all doing the same things we normally do, we were all at least thinking about vacation. I went on a picnic. Did you do anything fun yesterday?
Can't say that I did. I wish I could say I did, but I didn't. It was actually really rainy here. Yeah. Didn't facilitate doing something fun.
Yeah, we went on a socially distanced picnic by some railroad tracks and got drunk, actually, which is what you should do at a picnic.
What you do on vacation.
Absolutely, because it's a vacation. So we are going to be talking about vacations, and I figured we'd kick this off a little. Bill, tell us what you think about vacations. What do you like about them? What do you hate about them? And then I have another question for you.
What I think about them, I think they are a necessity to maintain a normal mental health. Do what I like them. I think I like most things about them except the expense. Maybe. What do I? So I don't know. Oh, and the other thing I dislike about them is the preparing. Just getting all your ducks in a row, the having to line up a dog sitter and all that kind of stuff. And which we usually think about like 15 minutes before we leave town. And then that's the hassle. Trying to figure out who's going to do what while we're gone.
That's funny because it's the preparing for a vacation that I actually like. I like the vacation, do not get me wrong, but I love the preparing and the anticipation of the vacation, getting everything in line, getting all the things set for it. I just really enjoy that kind of.
You like that delegation of responsibilities part too?
Well, yeah. I mean, we also have. It's a little less complicated because we have fewer moving parts.
Yeah.
There's 2 adults, and we're usually together on a vacation, and we have one cat.
And you bring the cat along.
And so often we bring the cat. So, and if we don't, we have a pet sitter. We take Toast to Camp Kitty, where she gets to go hang out. Super fun.
Okay.
She enjoys that. She does crafts.
Yes.
And canoeing at Camp Kitty.
Right. Okay. But she hates that they have a casserole every night.
Yes. She doesn't. She writes little letters to home. Dear Mommy and Daddy, I made some friends today. So I do have a question for you, though, to launch this whole thing.
Okay.
Tell me, what is your favorite vacation? What has been your very favorite?
I love road trips. I can't narrow it down to a single road trip. But I do love road trips. I am and some people like flying places or some people like taking boats. I'm totally a driving person. I like to drive. In the last year or two, because my eyesight's starting to fail a little bit, I like to drive less than I used to, but only at night when it's raining. But I seriously, I love driving, and I like the experience of getting from point A to point B in a car and passing things, and because I'm an adult now and I'm in charge of my own life, unlike the way I dealt with it when I was a kid, we would go on vacations and it would strictly be like point A to point B, and my granddad would be like, "This is where we're going," and if you saw anything along the way that looked interesting, and you're like, "Oh, hey, look at that! Let's stop at the thing," and he's like, "Man, we got somewhere to be," So I'm not that person. I'm totally like, let's stop and see some crap along the way. Which is road trips, because that's what it's about. It's about the journey as much as it is about the destination. So that's like I said, I'm not going to pinpoint a single road trip. I'm just going to say I like road trips, and I generally enjoy every road trip I've ever taken.
Excellent. I'm with you though. Well, it's weird because I don't actually like riding in a car, but I enjoy road trips. So I like the destination. I like the spots in between, but I just don't like the physical act of being in a car. So I either medicate or I sometimes cover my eyes so I can't see anything.
Right.
Which actually works. The pro tip, if you're afraid of riding in a car, get a sleep mask. And then you don't have to worry about it. And you can still have a conversation. You just don't see all the other cars that are going to kill you.
Yeah, it makes it difficult though when it's your turn to drive.
That it does, yes. Well, when it's my turn to drive, I just grip the steering wheel until my knuckles are white and stare straight ahead. That's
what
how
Emily
I
does.
know. So listeners too, if you're here with us, definitely hang out in the comments. Tell us about your favorite vacations. Ask us questions about vacations, whatever you got. We would love to hear from you because we're going to talk about all kinds of fun vacation stuff. My favorite vacation, well, let's see. I like a lot of things. I have traveled a lot and I enjoy it very much. Probably my favorite vacation has been a trip to Belgium and Amsterdam, where we went to Brussels. And we went to Brussels, Bruges, and Amsterdam. And I could actually take or leave Bruges if, other people may enjoy Bruges. From what I hear, it's a fucking fairy tale. But I didn't completely love it. But we did do a side trip to Ghent. So if I were to go back, I would 100% go to Ghent because that was super fun. But we had a great time.
Can't tell if this is me or you. Something's locked up. Well, Well, folks, if you're still watching this and I'm still alive, which it says I am, looks like I lost Laura because her power flickered out, she says. So I don't know what she was going to say about what was so great about Ghent. I can only imagine, having not gone there. But in the meantime, I'm going to, hold on a sec, I got to check more messages from Laura. She's just screaming, into text. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So she had some interesting times in Europe. Sounds like that's what she liked about vacation. I've been to Europe one time, and I only went to the UK. It was difficult because I had to learn another language. Let's see. But I will say this, like she said, I enjoyed the small towns that weren't really the main thing I went there for. I was going to London, and I ended up really enjoying Salisbury and I can't think of the name of the town now. Stratford upon Avon. I really like that town. Not just going to see the Shakespeare crap, but also just the town itself. Just walking around a small town in the UK was neat to me because it was just different. Laura says she will be right back. So anyway, yeah, that was cool. The only other time I've ever been out of the country, I went to Juarez, Mexico. on a charity type thing. It wasn't really a vacation, but I did enjoy it because I was going to a new place. And this was in between the time when you could get killed in Juarez and the time now where you can get killed in Juarez. It was like a brief thing in the early noughts where I guess Juarez wasn't terrible for a minute, and so I went there and I enjoyed every second of it, and would go again, to be honest, because I mean, you can get decapitated anywhere. I can get shot at the mall. So she's troubleshooting. This makes this a very interesting podcast because usually she sort of just like leads me and I talk, but now I'm gonna have to talk by myself. Vacations though.
Hey, whoa.
Tech support.
Tech support. Oh my goodness, our power just totally went out.
Yeah.
Ah,
I did a play-by-play for everyone while you were gone.
I'm so happy.
I also tried to ad-lib what I thought you were going to say was so nice about Ghent, but I don't know.
Well, now I get to do the rest of the show in the dark because our power is completely out. And folks, I apologize. I'm actually connected to this through an iPhone right now because our Wi-Fi went out too because it's connected to the power. So hooray.
Yeah.
Hooray. So joy, but yay. I'm so excited that I didn't even know what would happen if I would be completely kicked out of the whole conversation or anything. So I'm so excited this still happened. So Ghent is fun. Do that. Yes, and Heather says her favorite vacation was a trip to England, and she had a lot of great memories. So.
I was talking about a trip I took while you were gone. Sorry.
No, you should actually. That was the last thing I saw when the power went out and everything disconnected. So as it turns out, Heather read your mind. And also thank you, tech support, and the fact that I'm currently connected through an iPhone hotspot. All right. So now, since I'm back and you're doing a great job, we should probably do a station break.
Yeah.
So commercials. Also, I wish I would have had the chance to do this real quick before that because I made this handy sign just in case of technical difficulties. But it doesn't help me if I am the technical difficulty.
Yeah.
So, alas, I was so proud of it though. I wanted to show it off.
Send a copy to me so I can put it up there when these kinds of things happen.
Exactly. And Matt is charging emergency rates, so good to know.
Yeah.
All right. So who do we want to pimp this week? What are we talking about?
Oh, what are we pimping this week? Well, I'm gonna take this moment to now open for realsies. I mean, they're not open today, but they're open from like Thursday through Sunday. Now, well, they were open Monday too because it was a holiday. But I don't know if they're open this coming Monday or if that was just a holiday thing. But anyway, they're open now. So if anybody's in this area and wants something to eat, there's a limited amount of tables. We have them all spaced out now. It's not like a normal thing, but they are open and there is food to be had. And again, if you have a local haunt, throw them a bone and be patient. People are doing a different thing now and everything's crazy and you got to be patient and don't be a Karen about the whole thing, because I think I heard there was like at least one person who was in here mumbling under their breath about the changes that were made. And, it's just, this is what we're dealing with, folks.
Exactly. There's, either come enjoy the restaurant for what it is right now or don't, up to you.
Stay home.
Exactly. And yes, be kind to people, be kind to the employees. They're doing the best they can.
Yes, they are. So that's my station break for this evening, unless you've got somebody else you want to shout out to. We can also mention.
Yes?
I was just going to say we do t-shirts.
Yes, indeed. So I do just want to mention real quick, a lot of things in Atlanta are reopening. I know a lot of our fan base is not in Atlanta, but if you happen in Atlanta. Some things are reopening and doing a lot of safety measures, including several breweries. One in particular is Lost Druid in Decatur. And apparently from some friends that went last week, it was pretty well spaced, lots of social distancing, good systems. So Lost Druid in Decatur, if you want to support local beer, check them out. So that's my station break. That's all they don't pay me for that. I just wanted to mention it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but one of these days.
So, all right, I have another question for you. I've got a lot of questions about vacations because, well, okay, I'm going to start with this. The reason that we decided to do this show was a bunch of weeks ago, like when we all started hanging out at home, I mentioned that I had a puzzle, and I was doing a puzzle for the first time since I was a little kid that I remember. And you said to me, what, you mean you didn't take a puzzle to the beach and do it at the beach? And I was like, no, that I never did that because I grew up in Michigan, where a beach is a very different thing than it is to people who grew up on the coast. And apparently that's just not a thing we did. And plus I didn't go to the beach. It wasn't a thing. So no, our puzzle experience was totally different. We would set it up after Christmas on the dining room table, and then we would do it for a while after Christmas, you know, during Christmas break and stuff. But I've never done that. So it occurred to me that we have very different experiences with vacations. So I want you to, I realize that there are a couple of different ways you can answer this question, but how would you define a vacation versus like any other trip? Like what makes something a vacation?
What makes a vacation is the purpose is to unwind and get away from your troubles. And I think this is the essential reason why you leave the house for a vacation. If you stay at home, you know, you can take a week off and stay at home, but you will not relax because you will be there surrounded by your crap and your troubles and all the projects that you should ought to do. And so the entire time you're just going to be thinking about, oh, I could do this or I could do that. And so the whole reason why you leave the house and go to the beach or to some far off destination is so that you're away from your things and those things can't bother you. In my opinion, that's what I think, you know, and so that's what makes a vacation is getting away from your crap.
I think that's a fair definition. I had a boss once that used to tell me I didn't take vacations, I went on trips. And I thought a lot about that because for her, same thing. Vacation was where you went to the beach for a week and you just hung out on the beach and did a puzzle and read a book and done whatever. And I do not enjoy that activity. So when I go on a vacation, I like to go on a trip where there are fun, exciting things to do.
Well,
so it might be at a beach.
You're still away from your crap. So it doesn't matter if you're engaged. It matters that you're not doing your projects and your, you know, home improvement and all. So that's the point. And I'm kind of with you. I'm the same way. Like, so I mentioned this because my wife's family goes to the beach every year. They go and they rent a beach house for a week and they sit around and do a puzzle and watch a movie and walk to the beach every day and have mimosas and read a book. And so I go on these trips and I do the puzzle and I usually do read a book. I will say, you know, this is a thing. I'm usually so busy. I don't read as much as I used to. Like I might read, the only book I read all year is whatever I read at the beach. That's it. And it's completely, here's the funny part. It's completely dictated to me by whatever the owners of the beach house left at the beach house.
So it could be anything. It could be the Thornbirds. It could be Mercedes Lackey. It could be Stephen King.
I pick whatever the best thing at the beach house is, and I read that. Now, 2 years ago, thankfully, they had a huge collection of Vonnegut, and so I reread some Vonnegut books that I'd already read, honestly. But you know, but it had been a while, and so I was like, oh wow, you know, and it kind of brought out this past year. I read. It was a David Sedaris book, and it was funny because it actually had a chapter in it about beach houses, which was funny to me, because he basically had this exact vacation experience where every summer they went to the coast for a week and stayed at a beach house and did these boring mundane things. So here's the thing with me though: if I had my druthers when we're at the beach, it's not that I don't like the beach. I do like the beach, but I want to go out and go to the pancake house and have like the world's biggest omelet, and I want to go to the mini golf and like shoot 18 holes under a windmill and go to the t-shirt store and buy a hermit crab and I just want to do all the touristy crazy shit because that's the kind of person I am. Like I want to be engaged in something, and so I'm more of a like I'd rather go on a trip like you say and experience things. And normally when I go on like my road trips, that's what we do. We're doing something all the time.
Right.
When I go on this family beach vacation, it's totally a sitting around at the beach being lazy thing. And by day 3, I'm usually about crazy from it. Like I'm like I'm gonna just go to the store. I'll be back in a while, and then I can find something to do because I have to.
I will, even in situations like that where I'm going to, that kind of vacation for some reason, like if I'm going with family or whatever the case is, I will find, like, that's why I said I like the prep and stuff. I know I'm going to the beach, whatever that is. I will look in the area and I'll find like the breweries and, craft distilleries and fun bars and, tours that we can do, stuff like that. Because I just don't like to sit around.
Be active with. Yes, I'm the same way. I don't want to just go into a couple of years ago we were over there. We were at the beach house and it's not exactly the right season for it, but everybody was talking about they were going to do a crab boil that night, right?
Right.
And they were just going to go down to the fishmonger and buy some crabs. And I was like, oh, you don't want to buy crabs. We want to experience. I went down to the Walmart and I bought some supplies, and I came back and I took the kids out and we went to the sound side of the island and we went crabbing, which I hadn't done since I was 5 years old with my dad. And it was an interesting experience having not done it in forever and not knowing, but really like doing it from memory of a 5-year-old. Like, this is what we do. We tie a chicken neck with string and we, anyway, so we did this crazy thing and we only caught there was one juvenile blue crab who kept taking the bait. And there's rules, this is not Nom. There are rules, and you can only keep a crab of a certain size. And this crab was below the size you could keep, but he kept taking our bait, and so we had to keep throwing him back in, and finally we caught this rock crab, right? And the deal with rock crabs is you can't keep the rock crab because they're not as prolific as blue crabs. But you can, if they have 2 claws, you can take one of their claws. Apparently, that's the deal, right? Yeah, they
no idea.
But it does seem kind of cruel. Actually, I didn't end up pulling the claw off the crab, but there was another guy down there at the dock who saw us. And he came over and he was like, "Wow, that's a really nice rock crab. You get to keep one claw." And he pulls the claw right off and then throws the rock crab back in the water. And then hands me the claw, and I'm like, okay, I probably wouldn't have done that because, it just seems cruel. Anyway,
oh my God, I had no idea.
That one rock crab claw was all we had to show for it after 3 hours of being there, and we finally just drove over to the fishmonger and bought a bunch of crabs and went back to the beach house. And we ended up making crab sushi or something, I think. Yeah, it was that. But I did that because I had to get the heck out of the beach house for a minute. Like I have to have a thing to go do. That's just how I work,
Yep, absolutely. And even when I do, so the beach to me is kind of the beach as we're referring to it is kind of a relatively new phenomenon. I've lived in the South for, almost 20 years. So I guess it's not that new, but because it really isn't. But so going to the coast, whether it's Georgia coast or Carolina coast, whatever, is if I'm going to do that, if I'm going to go to the beach, it better be near a city. So, like, I don't just go to Tybee Island. I need to go to Savannah because there's shit to do in Savannah.
Right.
And I might go to Tybee and walk around, go to the beach, do whatever, but I want to do the shit to do, not go to Tybee. Same
Right.
in Florida. Like, the only city I really love in Florida is Pensacola because there's a really cute little downtown plus the beach. So you can do both.
And I also love Pensacola. Yeah, it had both those things. It wasn't just we're just gonna go hang out, loll around at the beach. It was like a beach, but then there was also a really cool town there that you could go do all the things, and and that's I dug it. It was because it had all that stuff going on.
Exactly. And you know what I will say, so growing up in Michigan though, because it's funny when I say beach, we do have beaches in Michigan. They're just on the Great Lakes and they're very different. And people do have houses, people have lake houses they go to and all that, but that just wasn't something my family did. And in fact, my family rarely went on vacation at all. I remember going to Florida once when I was 4, and that was about the furthest. We went to Toronto a few times, but we just weren't a vacation family. So I guess now I make up for that by going on these trips, and I like to do international travel, and I like to travel all over the US and do all kinds of things. So I kind of made up for that as an adult.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we both, Matt has told us here where is it? Come here. Yes. In Michigan, we have freshwater oceans, which is just something only people from Michigan say that. So kind of true. Actually, funny aside.
The islands of bays are
I worked with somebody when I first started working, when I moved to Georgia, one of my coworkers, because they knew I was from Michigan, obviously I just moved down. And I remember saying something about tides on the Great Lakes. Like, there are tides because they're the Great Lakes. She's like, lakes don't have tides. I'm like, the Great Lakes have tides.
Yeah.
They're huge. You can surf in parts of the Great Lakes if you try hard enough.
Yeah, no, I remember when I first moved to Chicago because you grow up down here and you think the lake is a big pond. I mean, and we have some large lakes. The man-made ones that were made during the TVA times. But we don't have Great Lakes. You can still see across the lake.
Right.
and you go to Lake Michigan, and I lived on the other side in Chicago, and that's a big damn lake. It's a body. It looks like an ocean. It's a body of water. It's huge.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a digression, certainly, but I mean, there are shipwrecks in the Great Lakes. Like, that can't happen in not to the degree of a freighter or something. That can happen in a little lake, like, here in Georgia. Might be a jet ski.
Right,
but just the extent of what it's going to be.
There's markers in Lake Hartwell that say, here's where a jet ski sank once.
Exactly. So we've touched on it a little bit.
Let me pull it up.
Right, yes, I bet we could. So we've touched on it a little bit, but I do have in my notes how to have a great vacation. Bill, do you have tips for people to make sure that they have, if they're going on a trip or they're going on vacation, how can they make sure that they have a good vacation?
Well, and I mean, this is going to be subjective, obviously. This is my opinion that I have.
As it turns out, that's the entire basis of the show.
Yeah. So for me, first off, I have a when in Rome policy. So if you're going to a town that's renowned for a thing, you got to eat the thing that's renowned for, okay? Like, if you're in Chicago, you're going to go get your deep dish pizza. You're going to have your hot dogs. If you're in Philly, you're going to get your cheesesteak. That kind of thing. Like, that's one of my cardinal rules of vacation is if I'm in a town that is renowned for some culinary delight, we're going to go get that damn thing. And it doesn't matter if there's a queue. And I'm not a fan of queues, but we're going to go get that thing. After that,
wait, really quick, I do want to point out, I also think people should realize that wherever they are in the world, and they're going to try the thing that is that place's thing.
Yeah.
That place knows how to make that thing. So even if you prefer it made a different way, don't be that person. Just have it the way it's served because they know what they're doing.
Are you saying like there are people who go to Chicago and then whine that Chicago style pizza is not the pizza that they want?
Yes, I've also talked to people who went to Italy and whined because there wasn't Parmesan cheese on the table for their fresh made pasta. Like, look, you don't get the Kraft cheese dust if you're eating in Rome. It's not what you're going to get. So just trust that those chefs know what they're doing and eat it the way they serve it because I promise you it's authentic.
You might like it better, honestly, if you do it the other way,
Right. Yeah, try something new. You've gone all this way. Don't expect things to be the same.
But do aside from that first tip, do your research and find out what's cool in the area. I also, in addition to the when in Rome policy, I also like to sort of do as the locals do.
Yes.
I like to know what's cool to the people who live there, not just what's cool to the tourists, because the tourist stuff is usually kind of meh. Sometimes there's some cool tourist stuff, okay? Like, honestly, I like some touristy stuff. If I'm in Myrtle Beach, yeah, I get a kick out of how flagrantly, goofy and fiberglass the whole place is, okay? Like, that, it is what it is. But, when you go some places, like if I was to go to, say, Naples, not Florida, but Italy, I wouldn't necessarily make a beeline to all the stuff that everybody says go to. I would probably go off the beaten path. And I was mentioning this probably while you were off the air for a second. When I was in the UK, the thing I enjoyed was I enjoyed the city. I enjoyed the town of Stratford-upon-Avon. And not because I went there for the Shakespeare stuff, but I ended up, the stuff I liked was just the downtown. I just thought it was a cool town.
Yeah.
And it was to kick around in a medium-sized town in another country and just see how people lived. That was the thing that was cool to me. And to go to some non-spectacular things, just kind of say, "Oh wow, this is how it is here." That's the kind of like real stuff that makes my day. Sometimes, I have like sort of both extremes. I love the touristy bullshit, but at the same time, I also sometimes just get a kick out of, like, this is how this place operates.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. Yeah, anytime I go to a city, like a lot of people have told me they don't like Amsterdam because when they go to the red light district, they go to like all the museums and those things. But honestly, that's not really what we did. We looked at the off the beaten path stuff. We found a random brewery that was in a windmill and we drank beers all afternoon. We found another tap room because our vacations generally revolve around beer. And we just did like the locals did. And we spent all afternoon in this little tap house. We were the only people there other than the bartender. And we just talked with him like all afternoon about politics. And it was great. We had a blast.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree with you. I like to go to a place and act like I'm not act like I'm local, like I walk around like I own this place, but try to get into the mindset of a local and do those things.
Yeah. And some of that, if you're saying don't into the mindset of a local, is don't be the kind of jerk that's obviously a tourist.
Yes. I'm actually amazed, and it's happened to us multiple times in multiple countries, because Matt and I both have that mindset. Like we try not to look like tourists when we're somewhere. We try to do a thing and, blend in and just do what people are doing, like live life in that city.
Right.
We've been stopped by people, other tourists generally, to be asked directions. And we're like, no, we don't know either. But we don't give off that set. Like, we're not walking with a camera in a Hawaiian shirt and knee socks and looking around like, what's up there? Like, we just don't do that. And I think that, and folks, do not be an ugly American. If you go somewhere that is not what you're expecting, it's not the way it's done where you're from, get over that shit, because all you're going to do is come across as an asshole because you're not in America. You're in someone else's. Yeah. So unless you are, and even then, I have seen people in other cities that act like they, oh my God, I was once, so we're all from Asheville, and Asheville has a McDonald's that's a notable McDonald's. It's by the Biltmore Estate. It's notable. It's been on television on like world's fanciest McDonald's. It really has. It really has. Because it's structured like the Biltmore and it has a baby grand piano in it. Otherwise, it's just a freaking McDonald's. But I was in there and I was actually in the bathroom and I overheard this conversation. These two women, they were from New York. And that's where they're from is not as important. But honest to God, one of them said to the other, I'm going to go look at the menu to see if they have anything different. You're in North Carolina, for crying out loud. You're not in, I don't know where you think you are.
She was expecting Royale with cheese.
I don't know. But I've been to McDonald's I have been to McDonald's where they have stuff, like a McDonald's in Italy, and they had like a caprese bar and it was amazing, which you don't see anywhere. But I still didn't walk through going, where's the stuff I'm used to? I went in, I got a Coke, I walked out because I was like, hey, look, it's McDonald's. So yeah, don't be that person. Do not. Especially if you're in a super touristy area where people are, just don't do that.
Oh,
I've been in many situations.
And I want to say, is a juxtaposition of the 2 points I've made: the win in Rome plus the do as the locals do. So you find yourself in Philadelphia, and you want a cheesesteak. Don't necessarily go to Geno's just because that's the one that's on diners, dives, and drive-ins. Go find another one. I promise you, there's another place in town that makes a better cheesesteak than the touristy place that's got a queue a mile long, right?
Yes.
Same for Chicago. Listen, I love Chicago deep dish. I know people have opinions on that. I actually love it. I think it's the best pizza ever made. It's complete. It's apples and oranges. It's not even the same thing as regular pizza. Let's be honest.
I agree, and we could have a whole episode about pizza because.
Sure.
Well, or at least a mini episode because I'm sure we have opinions.
The point I was trying to make here is don't necessarily, if you're in Chicago, don't go to Uno. You're gonna wait 3 hours for your pizza. First off, it takes an hour for Chicago style pizza to cook. You're gonna wait 2 hours before you sit, and then you're gonna wait an hour for them to cook your pie. Go to Giordano's, which is they've got one on every third corner in town.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, Giordano's makes as good a pie as Uno's does, and you'll be in and out of there without a queue and without the bullshit, and you'll be like, well, now I've had Chicago style pizza, and then it's not New York style.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because the last time we were in Chicago proper, that's where we went because we're like, we don't need to go to that place and wait 4 hours for a pizza. Let's go here. But I will also say the best Chicago style pizza I have ever had, and I couldn't even tell you the name of the place I was. We were on a road trip and we were hungry because we were driving back from where we had gone, and we were outside of Chicago, not far outside of Chicago, but we didn't want to drive through Chicago because why would you do that? So we were driving just south of Chicago and we were starving, and we just stopped at like some Italian style restaurant on the outskirts of Chicago. And we went in and we ordered a deep dish pizza, and it is the best freaking pizza I've ever had. I don't even know what the name of the place was. And it was better. I had a lot of Chicago style pizza. It was way better than the other ones I had.
Yeah. It's usually the case. There's usually a place that makes it better. And that's all I'm getting at is so do your research. Dig around and find out what's good. Don't necessarily go to the touristy spot. Go to what's good. Have a good meal. See the things that the locals like to see. There's some cool stuff. I mean, and there's some touristy stuff I'm not going to completely eschew. While I'm on Chicago, I'll say, if you're in Chicago, go to the damn Science Museum there, the one on the south side over by the university. They have the U-boat that we captured during World War II.
Right.
They first off, it's fascinating to me. It's great that we captured a U-boat and brought it back. But secondly, they sailed this thing up the Great Lakes, through the Channel and into the Great Lakes, and they sailed it to Chicago. And then this museum is a good 8 blocks from the shoreline. Okay, they put a submarine on a series of logs or something like that and rolled it 8 blocks to where it's at now. It's 8 blocks inland.
Right?
That's only what they knew.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Do that. Do those things. And especially like tourist things, but not necessarily like do the weird tourist things. Like there's plenty of
I want to give a shout out to the Yoda Museum in Philadelphia. It's a museum of medical oddities. They have an entire drawer full of crap that they pulled out of somebody's gullet. I mean, it's mostly buttons and partials that people accidentally swallowed, but it's a lot of crazy stuff that people swallowed that they had to go to the hospital for. Then they've got the bones of the Chang and Ang, the Siamese twins who were in the circus back in the day.
Yeah.
They got a bunch of like that kind of crazy stuff. Like they've got life molds made of certain diseases, like people with huge goiters and things like that. Some of it's disgusting, but it's disgusting in like a crazy weird way. I don't know. To me, that was it was a touristy thing I did when I was in Philadelphia, but I enjoyed it more than I would have the Liberty Bell.
Right. Absolutely. No, and I will say to that point, like you can find that sort of stuff anywhere. We were in St. Martin a bunch of years ago, and we went to the Yoda Museum, which the actual guy who was like the creature designer of Yoda, and I do not remember his name. I will Google it. I will put it on the chat on the comments. He opened a museum in St. Martin, and it's all of the stuff he had while working on Star Wars. He also worked on a ton of other things. So he had all the work that he did for that. He had death masks of a variety of people because for some reason he was involved in that. And it was so unique and interesting. And then the guy himself, whatever his name is, and I can't remember it, I feel bad that I can't. Like, he was hanging out with us. Like, he was coming, he's like, yeah, that's the thing I did there. That's the thing I did there. Like, do those kinds of things. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's some cool stuff in places, and I'm not trying to say, like, don't do the touristy stuff, but don't do the touristy stuff. Do a touristy stuff.
Exactly. I do want to mention so I have a philosophy of vacations that I think is good, and I think it fits in with some of the things that we've been saying. The concept is love it the first time. So don't go to a place expecting that you're going to go back to that place. You can go back to that place. You can go back to places multiple times. But each experience needs to be its own unique experience. Because if all you remember is, the last time I was here, it was so much fun, and now I'm trying to recreate that time, you'll never have as much fun because you have to love it the first time. So every time, so if you go to, wherever, if you go to Flagstaff, Arizona, every time you go there, think of it as, I have to love this the first time, and do that trip as if you've never been there before. Because if you just keep trying to recreate it to be exactly the way it was you remembered it the first time, you're going to be disappointed. So every trip needs to be unique, and you can't just say, well, I'll do that next time, or I'll get around to that next time. You've got to love it the time you're there, when you're there, be present, and you won't be disappointed.
If you go to Tuba City, Arizona, you will be disappointed.
There are many places to be disappointed.
Tuba City, Arizona looks like, on the map, it looks like a big spot because the dot is large, and it looks like, oh, well, that'll be a good place to stop for the night. It is not a good place to stop for the night. It is a good place to keep on keeping on. And I'm sure. Actually, I've had this discussion with a couple of other people who've told me that they stopped in Tuba City for the same reason I did, which was it was a large spot on the map in northern Arizona, and there's not a whole lot there. So you figure, well, this is the place.
Right?
No, don't fall for it. Keep on, keep on. Go to the next state. You're gonna spend the night. Keep on going. You're gonna spend the night in Nevada.
Exactly. But you know what? You never know what kind of fun stuff you're going to find if you were to keep going. Like, speaking of Arizona, and so we did this epic trip a bunch of years ago. We flew out to New Mexico, visited some friends there, and then from New Mexico, drove to Arizona, stayed with some friends there, and drove up to the Grand Canyon and then back. And so we did Arizona stuff, we did New Mexico stuff, and the Grand Canyon, of course. But the thing that I remember most from that vacation is on the way, I think it was on the way back from the Grand Canyon, we drove past this bedrock park, and it was like an old school Flintstones theme park that really wasn't open anymore, but yet you could still go into it.
You mean it was past the
Well, but we went in and we Matt rode down the Brontosaurus slide and all the little houses, like they had all the houses. It was insane. It was the weirdest place.
It was no longer charging to get in because it was way past its heyday.
Yeah, I mean they had a little gift shop and then you could just walk in. Yeah, and while we were there, like one other group of people came in and that was it. And we were right on the outskirts of the Grand Canyon, so everybody passed this place. And it was weird and it was awesome. And they were all life-size versions of the houses. So you walked into the rooms and it was the weirdest thing I've ever done, but it was so cool. And yeah, when you see something weird like that, stop.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be interesting.
And that's what I was saying earlier. Like that's the thing I like about road trips is because I like stopping at that kind of crap. We stop at a lot of stupid roadside attractions, and most of them are way past their heyday, which is it's kind of got this melancholic sort of thing to it, where it's like, this at one time was awesome, and now it's kind of sad,
right?
But it's still got a certain charm to it because it's this sort of silly, weird thing. But I like it for its campiness. I don't know. So like whenever I'm road tripping, I'm suddenly I'm John Waters in my head, and I'm enjoying things for camp.
Fair enough. I keep thinking of all these random places that I want to recommend to people for no apparent reason. So I'm drinking this tiki drink, right, that I made. It's delicious. What should we do?
We should do a rapid fire of places you should visit.
We should, but okay, yes. Start Tiki Bars. I'm gonna say this weird ass place in Minneapolis, a place called Psycho Susie's, that was described to me as if David Lynch opened a trailer park and served deep dish pizza and tiki drinks for no reason. And it was exactly as described. We walked in there, we were like, I don't know what's happening, but it was so much fun. And deep dish pizza in Minneapolis, tiki drinks for no reason, and it was just weird.
Okay.
All right. Do you have a tiki bar?
I don't have a tiki bar. I don't know that many tiki bars. This is mostly your avenue, tiki bars.
Fair enough. All right. Weirdest place in the state you could visit, or any state in the United States.
Weirdest place I don't know about weirdest because that leaves a lot open. Can I just say some places I think you ought to visit? You should stop at Helen, Georgia if you're passing by.
Oh my God.
Helen, Georgia.
I've been to Helen a lot.
Yeah, because you live close by. But Helen, Georgia is in sort of the north part of Georgia. It's in the mountains, and it used to be a textile town. And they realized in the late 70s that the textile industry was drying up. And instead of being like all these other textile towns who were just going to hand wring and whine about it, and so kind of like the United Arab Emirates, who realizes that one day their oil reserves are going to dry up, they decided to become a tourist attraction. And so what they did was they transformed their town into this alpine Swiss community, and it's so quaint, but at the same time fake, and
Yeah.
and but it's cutesy. I don't know, like it's kind of cool. And here's the thing that kills us, like so hey, the buildings look awesome, but they have rabbits, wild rabbits, just hopping around town. I mean, they're not like wild rabbits. They're wild domesticated rabbits, like they're black and
Right.
white. They're not cottontails. They're like rabbits you would have on a farm, but they've let them go, and there's like rabbits all over town hopping around, and it's just goofy. I don't know.
It is a weird place. I have some weird stories from Helen, Georgia. Like it's too long to go into here, but I've had some weird situations there. But if anybody is just curious, like if you're not near Georgia and you want to do it, the television show Atlanta, written by and starring Donald Glover. There's an entire episode in the 3rd season called Helen, and it's about a trip to Helen. And it is watching it, it gives you exactly that feeling. Like this is the weirdest shit I've ever seen, and it's because the whole story, it's just weird.
Yeah, it's sort of a surreal place. Because it's just so different. You know, it's funny because Gatlinburg, Tennessee tries to sort of capture the same sort of feel, but it does it in sort of a Branson, Myrtle Beach kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot faker and weirder, and not. Or no, I'm sorry, it's not even as weird because it's so fake. It's unbelievable, right? But Helen sort of kind of captures it, and that's what makes it surreal, I think.
And it's a hidden gem because not a lot of people know it's there. It's way off the beaten path. It's an hour and a half, 2 hours out of Atlanta, so it's not like you can just get there.
No, it's just one of those things. We were driving from Atlanta back to Asheville, and we happened to take that route. And as we drove past, I saw the signs, and I had been there before when I was a kid, because my grandparents always took me on mountain vacations, and so I just mentioned it to Emily. I was like, "Hey, you want to take a detour for a minute?" And she was like, "Heck yeah!" And we went there, and she thought it was a blast, and we had a great time. And we've actually gone back a couple times since then because we had a good time there. Yeah, so that's one of my. You got to go see this. Another, I want to throw this out there. What's it called? Dinosaur Land in Eastern Virginia. I want to say it's Mount Washington, Virginia, something like that. I can't remember exactly. It's on one of the roads. It's from back in the day before the interstates were built, right? It's one of those roadside attractions that existed on the old thoroughfare,
right.
And now it's basically dried up. But it's a bunch of fiberglass dinosaurs in a field, and you go around and you look at the fiberglass dinosaurs, or you take a picture with them. And then you go back through the gift shop and you buy some plastic dinosaurs and a cap.
Right.
But, we've been there twice and we have a good time every time we go. You got another one?
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. All right. We're getting close to the end. So I have this question for you. What is your dream vacation? Where do you want to go more than anywhere else in the world?
Okay, I really want to go to Tokyo more than anything else. That's probably my number one. Number one would be, I want to go to Tokyo. Unfortunately, me and my wife don't agree on that. She wants to go to Greece or somewhere on the Mediterranean more than that. So, the thing that we agree on the most is the Pacific Northwest. So that's probably what we're going to do first.
A good part of the country. It's worth going to.
Yeah. So I don't know. But for me, it's Japan and then South Korea, and then I would like to go back to the UK, and I guess I'd like to see Germany and that Northern Europe. But my wife wants to see the Mediterranean, so we're kind of I don't care. If I'm somewhere else, I don't care. It's fine. It's all good.
It's all good. Yeah, I have to. So we keep adding countries to our list that we want to go to, and we've done a fair amount of travel. But I think on the list right now are Hong Kong, Australia, New Zealand, the Scandinavian countries, and Hawaii. And I think those are and I do want to go to Greece. So if if Emily wants to go to Greece before we do any of those things and we all decide to go to Greece together, let's just do that.
We should all go to Greece.
I'd do that.
Yeah, because then and then that'll get us some special treatment.
That's right. So, fun fact, my partner Matt is Greek. And when Greek people realize that Matt is Greek, he is their favorite person. And they will go out of their way to make sure that they just totally go Greek on him. So, which is funny because he's actually only a quarter Greek, but he's more Italian than he is Greek. But I will take that. Like if somebody wants to give us special treatment, I will take that.
Right.
Something that we should do. All right, normally at this stage of the show, we would do mailbag. We do not have any questions. So folks, here's your thing. You need to send us some questions, send us comments, send us complaints, tell us how we suck, do whatever you want, just send us info. You can do that on Facebook, you can do that on YouTube. You can also join us on Patreon, although if you do that, you probably like us. And definitely share our videos so strangers can see the weird things we talk about. So we just want to hear from you. So send us your mailbag questions, talk to us in comments, do whatever you want to do. We will take those lumps and we will talk about how much we suck if that's what it takes. All right. Yeah. So, Bill Perkins, things that are extra. What do you have for us this week?
All right, things that are extra. I'm going to keep it themed this time, and I'm going to talk about air travel for a second. And the thing I hate about air travel is just how difficult it is, like the queuing and the waiting and the rigmarole. I remember when I was younger, like when I was in college, I used to sometimes like after Christmas, I had a flight back to college, and I would run in there 10 minutes before my flight. Just run in to the airport, and you ran to your gate and you jumped on the plane, and that was that. It was fine. It was a thing you could do because I don't like sitting around airports. I hate airports. That's the worst part of air travel to me is airports, I guess. Sitting in them, standing around, just being bored, having them frisk you, all that nonsense. The worst thing the terrorists did to us was make air travel suck. They really did. Like prior to 9/11, it was peachy keen. I didn't really mind it, but the thing I had layovers because that was the most time I would ever spend in an airport. But after 9/11, you had to spend 4 hours at the airport just to go anywhere. And so I hate airports and I don't like them, and which is part of the reason why I was touting road trips earlier, because if I can drive there, I will.
Fair enough. No, and I don't disagree with you. I do fly a fair amount. And so what's interesting is I tell people this and they're like, what is wrong with you? Because I lived in Atlanta for so long, and Atlanta is such an international hub. I've flown out of Atlanta a bajillion times, and it's a ridiculously huge airport. It is stupidly huge. But I feel comfortable in Atlanta because I know where everything is, so I'm fine in Atlanta. I do not like going to any other airport because I feel lost and like I don't know what's going on. But in Atlanta, I know because I've done it a bunch of times. But what I agree with you, like the security stuff, what's worse is that if you travel internationally, every country has a different rule if you're going back to the US. So it gets weird. Like it gets super weird. In Amsterdam, we were stopped because of umbrellas. Like, well, it was raining. So, and they had to like open the umbrella and stuff. I'm like, they don't even do that in the US. And in South Africa, yeah, exactly. No, exactly. In South Africa, because we were going back to the US, we went through the South African security, which was easy and fine. But at our gate, they set up people, a woman and a man, to frisk everybody getting on the plane because we were going back to the US. And it was just because of the US rules. And it's ridiculous. So yeah, we all had to be frisked. We all had to wait in the secondary to be frisked line to get on a plane that would travel whatever 16 hours from Johannesburg to Atlanta, which was torture enough. Did we really need to go through that? But we did, apparently.
Yeah. So that's my group right now is airplanes and airport security. It's the worst.
Yeah, I do not disagree with you. I actually don't mind flying. It's that shit that I don't like.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, the plane is fine. And I don't like heights and stuff scare the crap out of me, but I'm okay in a plane in general. But yeah, it's all that shit.
You're not going to fall out of the plane, ideally.
No, but if the plane falls, that's a concern.
Yeah, but it's,
It's never happened. Knock on wood, it has never happened to me, so I'm okay. And one time we had to book a flight like super late to go somewhere, and so we didn't have a choice, and we just booked whatever they had, and we got the exit rows. And I'm like, do you think I could actually handle this? Because if we were in an emergency situation, I would panic. That's like, no, it's fine. They're the only seats left. You're going to do this. And I'm like, okay. And the entire flight, I was like, I hope we don't crash. I hope we don't crash, because I would have lost the shit. No question. No question.
So
all right.
Yeah,
it's a bad idea. But so that's it. That's our show. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us for the technical difficulties. I'm sure they happen from time to time. And just a quick aside, everybody, we may be rescheduling soon. We'll let you all know soon. We'll give you plenty of notice for that. So if we change our time, we'll let you know.
Probably just shift our hour over, because I'm going to have to go back to office work, and that will put me in a place where I can do this a little bit later than I am now. So, worst case scenario, it'll bump us to 6 Eastern probably.
Right. So we'll keep you all up to date. We'll change the information. So Bill Has Opinions is live every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for now. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, join us on Patreon, and don't forget, sharing is caring. So please share our videos far and wide with strangers, with people who don't know us. That's what we want. Right. And Bill, you've got some engineering notes, right? And then we're good for the day.
This show is engineered and produced by Laura the Void, and the opinions of Bill are expressly his opinions, not those of Laura the Void, although hers are hers and hers alone, unless you share them. Anyway, it's great. Catch us again next week, same time, until we tell you otherwise.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. It's been fun. See you all soon.
Have a great vacation.